In this video, I would like to provide you with a demonstration on how you create sheets in Onshape for your Puzzle Design Challenge project. For this project, you will need a cover page, a multi-view for each of your 5 pieces. You will also be making an explosion drawing and then a solution drawing. Before you can create your sheets in Onshape for this project, you will first need to download the border template from Schoology. Once you download that file, you will need to insert it into your Onshape account. As you can see, I've already downloaded this file, so this is what it's called, AHS PLTW border. Again, this file is downloaded from Schoology. Once you download this file, you will need to go into your Onshape account. You will choose Create. Then you will choose Import Files. And then you will go to your Downloads folder and you will choose the AHS PLTW border and then choose Open. Once you do, that attaches this file to your account so that anytime you create a new drawing to create your sheets for a project, you will have the option to choose this border to create your various sheets. To create your sheets in Onshape, you will first need to open up your Puzzle Design Challenge project in Onshape so that you can create what is called a drawing. In this drawing that we are about to create, you will have all of the sheets for this project in one place. So the way that you create a drawing in this project is you go to the little plus sign in the bottom left of your screen and choose Insert New Element. When you choose that option, you will see the option to create a drawing. So click Create Drawing from the Insert feature. Then you're asked to choose a border to use for this project. Onshape automatically goes to your recently opened borders. So if you do not see the AHS PLTW border listed there, you will need to choose My Onshape, and then it will locate within your account all the border template files that you have there, and then you should be able to see the AHS PLTW border template file. So you will choose that file as your border for this project. Once you click OK and it loads, you will see the border on your screen. The first sheet that you create within a project will automatically try to get you to go ahead and insert your first view. I'm going to close this out so that I can continue to discuss the border. I will show you how to get to that command to insert a view later in this video, but you'll see that it is right here, insert view. But I'm going to close this out for right now. So I briefly just want to talk about this border in general. The border itself is this square shape. The border contains numbers that are in the horizontal direction on the top and bottom of the border, and then it has letters in the vertical direction on the left and right side of this border. This allows a person to have a point of reference within this on a page. So if you want to draw someone's attention to a particular area, you would tell someone, for example, look at the drawing in C3, and that would give them a general location of where to look at about a particular issue on a drawing. That is the border. I want to talk about the title block, which is what you see down here in the very bottom of the border. So I've created this title block for you that is very simple. It takes up just a small amount of space. It is set up so that it automatically pulls your name from your account and inserts it for you, so you will not have to type it. It will also import the title for the project for you, And you'll notice that it says drawing 1. When you create a drawing in Onshape, it gives it a default name of drawing 1. What you will want to do is rename that to the correct title of this project so that that title will appear in the title block as it is supposed to. So at this time, I'm going to right click on where it says drawing 1, which is the drawing that I am currently in. I'm going to choose rename, and I'm going to type in the name of this project, which is Project 4.1 Puzzle Design Challenge. And I'll hit enter, and once I do that, you'll notice that it is now, that title that I just typed in here is now has been inserted here in the title block. The sheet title will be generated once you bring in a particular view or object into this border. So that is a title that will appear later, and it is very specific for whatever it is that you bring in to this border. You'll also notice an area where it says sheet 1 of 1. As you create sheets, the total, which is the second number there, will be increased. So we have a total of 8 sheets. So you will have sheet number of 8. So for example, this will eventually be sheet number 1 of 8 as we kind of build this file. So I want to show you how to see all of your sheets once you create them, because they will all get created in one place. The way that you see the list of sheets for this project in this drawing is on the left. You will see the option to choose or see your sheets. So once you click that, as we create the different sheets, they will be listed here. Think of it sort of like Microsoft PowerPoint. As you create the sheets, they will be here. You can slide them, shift them around. You can even rename them so it helps you make a little bit more sense of what sheet is what. And so we'll talk about that as we go through it. But before we create the first multi-view drawing, I want to explain why we start with the multi-view drawing first. We start with multi-view drawings first because the cover page is very simple to create, but it also is a little bit different. It calls us to do just a small little thing differently that I don't like for you to do in the very beginning. So we will save the cover page for last. It will be the last file that we create, which means it will be at the bottom of our list. At that time, once we set it up and we make it, we will move it so that it is first in the order of sheets, so that when we print this out and create a PDF, everything will be in the order that it needs to be. But at this time, I want to show you how to insert a view into your first multi-view drawing. To insert a view into Onshape, you simply go up to the Insert View option, the command at the very top. Once you choose that option, you are given this little dialog box. It will be different when we do this again, but the first time you use the Insert View command, it looks like this. It has a big Insert button right here at the top. So we're going to choose that option. And once this dialog box comes up, I want to draw your attention to two things. First of all, we have a category of files called Part Studios. This will include all 5 of our puzzle pieces. For future projects, however many parts that you create within a project, those parts will be listed here. We also have a section called Assemblies. So all the assemblies that you may create within a given project will be listed here as well. We're actually going to make a duplicate of this assembly later in this video, so that both of those will be listed here when we choose that option. But to create our first multi-view drawing, we're going to go back to Part Studios, and we're going to choose just the first object that's listed and start with that one first. So that is my black piece. So I choose black, and then I'm going to see a preview of the object that I'm about to insert into this sheet. So if you look at this isometric here on the screen, you'll notice that it looks like an upside down T, and there is a puzzle cube on the back of this piece. I personally do not think that this is a good isometric view of this object. So I'm going to first insert this view as is, and then I'm going to show you how to change that view so that it can be correct. So as you insert your objects into your sheets, you need to have a good idea of what the front view of that object should be. And when you insert that view for the first time into a sheet, it may not be what you want it to be. So I want you to know you have the option to change what that view looks like. So let's choose black. And when we do, we're ready to place a view. It is very important for me to stress that this view that we bring in first must be the front view of our multi-view. Everything that we do will be based off of this front view. So your front view is your primary view, and it is located in the bottom left of your multi-view views. So I'm going to go ahead and place this right here in this general area, but let me draw your attention to the things here in this dialog box. First of all, the view orientation is set to front, so we're going to leave that there for right now, even though I know that is not how I want to keep it. The view scale for the multi-view drawings will be 1:1, so we'll leave that the same, and we can use the view simplification as automatic. So I'm going to place the front view where it belongs in this general area. In Onshape, once you create your first view, which is your front view, again, it is your primary view, everything will be projected off of that one view. So in Onshape, it automatically goes to the next step. It assumes that you want to project this view, and so you can project any of the other three views that you need to create. We must create a top view, a right view, and an isometric. It does not matter which order you project these views. So I'm going to go ahead and project this top view and place it in this general area. To project the right view, since I'm still in the projected view command, I simply just need to choose the front view again, and then I can pull the right view over. And to project the isometric, I again will choose the front view and project the isometric in the area that it belongs. So once you place your views, they're going to all look very similar. The top view, the front view, and the right side view will be 2D views. The isometric will obviously be an isometric. We want the isometric to stand out. We want it to really pop as a person looks at this drawing. So what we want to do is shade this object so that it stands out from the other views on this sheet. To shade an object, you'll notice that I am still in the projected view command. I want to hit escape to get out of that command. Once I do that, I'm able to just kind of hover over this isometric view. I can right click, and then I'll have the option to show shaded view. So I will choose that option, and this black piece will now be shaded. So the front view, the top view, and the right side view, they need to show hidden lines if they exist. In Onshape, the default setting is that when you create views, the hidden lines will not be shown. So we want to turn the option on to see the hidden lines if they exist. This will be something that you will have to do for each view that should show a hidden line if it exists in that view. So it doesn't matter which one you start with. I'll just start with the right side view, and you may run into a little issue, so I will show you what that issue is. So I'm just going to right click over this right side view, and this little menu box will appear, and at the very top of this menu box should be the one that says show hidden lines. Because of the view that I am currently in, it does not let me see the top of this menu. So this is sort of a bug in Onshape. The way that I have found to see the very top of this menu is to just simply zoom out, hit escape from what I was in. I'm going to zoom out, and then I'm going to pan, which panning means I'm holding the middle scroll button on my mouse. I'm holding it down and just dragging this view all the way down so that I can now right click over the right view. And once I do that, I'm now able to see the very top of this menu and choose show hidden lines. So I'm going to choose that option. And then I will do the same thing for the front view, and I will choose Show Hidden Lines. And I'm going to pan and drag this view down just a little bit further so that when I right-click on the top view, I can then choose Show Hidden Lines. I have found that in Onshape, there are times that I can come right here and right-click and see the top of that menu. And there's other times, like right now, that I can't. So it's good that I can't, so that I can show you how to find that Show Hidden Line option. So as I told you, I do not think this is a good representation or a good isometric for this object, because it leaves a little bit of confusion about what this object looks like. You cannot always take away the confusion, but you want to try to avoid the confusion as much as possible. But even though I have done this much work, I can still change the orientation of this view. I'm going to double click on the front view, since that is the primary view, and that is the view which the other views have been projected from. So once I double click on it, this menu will appear. So I know that this is currently the front view as seen here on my screen. I want the back view of this object to be my front view. So my view orientation, I'm going to change it from front to back. And when I do that, it will update the different views on my screen. I simply just need to hit the check mark, and the views will be accepted and changed as they were previewed on the screen. You will then need to just kind of slide the views back into place where they belong. And you can slide these at any time. Even after you've added dimensions, you can still slide these dimensions around to make a little bit room for yourself, and the dimensions will go with it. So at this time, I want to add dimensions. The dimension tool is right here. So we'll simply choose dimension and begin adding our dimension. Before you add dimensions, you need to think about two things. First of all, you know that you'll need to add the length dimension, which is seen in the front view, and that is the length from the left of this object to the right, the total length of it. And you can also see it in the top view. So the length is in the top and the front. You also need to show the height dimension. So we can see the height of this object in the front view and in the right side view. So we could choose to add the height dimensions in the front or the right. It just depends on the object and how we want to communicate this information. We also need to show the depth dimensions. Those are shown in the top view and in the right side view. Again, you can show those in either one, and I always just try to choose which one works best at that moment. And sometimes I have to add a height dimension in the right side view, and because I add one little view in that one, I choose to add the depth dimensions to the right side view. But again, it really depends on the object and what it looks like, and that will determine which view you place the various different dimensions in, the length, the height, and the depth dimensions. You will decide. So you need to follow the rules of dimensioning. How I dimension my objects might be slightly different than how you dimension your objects, but as long as we both follow the rules of dimensioning, we are good to go. Another thing you need to consider when dimensioning, this is the second big thing you need to consider, is what dimensions do I need to include on this drawing, so that if I were to give this drawing to someone else so that they can make it, what information do they need to make this object? So I want to give them just the right amount of information they need, and I want to give them too much information. So I don't want to over dimension this object. So I'm simply going to start by adding my dimensions. So I'm going to start with the height dimension. I'm just going to choose height first. So I'm going to choose, first of all, this line. So you can do it two ways. You can choose the line or the edge of the object and place it. You can also choose the points or the corners of an object, and it will dimension it between those points. And so I will place an overall height. Again, I could have added those to the right side view, but I like to add as many of the dimensions as I can to the front view, since that is the primary view. I'm now going to do the length dimension. So I'm going to choose this line and pull a dimension up. and then I'm going to pull this one up. So remember, this object has 3 length sections to it. We have a section here, a section here, and a section here. According to the rules of dimensioning, we only need to provide 2 of the 3, and then we need to provide an overall dimension. So at this time, I'm going to add the overall dimension. So I'm going to choose this point and pull that dimension up. And so now I have those dimensions. Hopefully you've already noticed that there's a problem right here with these 2 dimensions. Because these numbers are too big and the space is just small enough that it forces the arrows to the outside of this dimension, outside of the extension lines. So I'm still in the dimension command, but I'm going to hit escape on my keyboard so that I can move this text around. Once I get out of the dimension command, I can zoom in a little bit better. I found it better to zoom in a little bit so that you can move them a little bit more accurately. So I'm going to choose this. I'm going to click on this dimension. Then the move command will come up. You'll see that little cross-haired looking little symbol appear. That means I can now move that piece of text and drag it wherever I want it to go. I'm going to drag this one to the right, and then I'll drag this 0.75 to the left. If you'll notice that as I create dimensions, maybe you've seen the little purple guideline that appears. You'll notice, you'll see it right there. That purple line or that pink line is snapping to the other dimensions that I have already created. So I want it to line up with this one down here, and so I'm going to accept that. And then I'm going to do the overall depth dimension here. I'm going to choose that point to this point. Let me start that again. So I hit escape and restart the dimension command. So that point to that point, and then once I pull it out, it's going to grab the other dimensions that I've already created, and it basically is guiding me so that it lines everything up. So if you'll look at the dimensions that I've added to this sheet here, this multi-view drawing, you'll notice that everything's lined up nice and neat, and that's how the dimensions should look. They should be neat. They should communicate exactly what needs to be communicated, nothing more, and exactly what you need. The last thing I want to show you about dimensions is the number of decimal places. In this drawing, it is currently set to 3 decimal places. For this project, we want to change our decimal places to 2. So the best way I found to do that is, notice that I'm still in dimension. I'm going to hit escape to get out of dimension. I'm going to zoom in just a little bit just so I can see these dimensions a little bit better. And what you can easily do is pick these dimensions, and you need to do it in a very seamless, continuous fashion. You'll notice that it did not pick that last one, so I'm going to try to choose that one. It did choose it. But sometimes if you pause, if you hesitate, it will lose something. It will not choose everything you want to choose, and it kind of messes things up a little bit. But once you choose all the dimensions, you can easily change all the decimal places at one time. You'll notice right here it says varies. So I'm going to choose that drop-down option. This is the precision option, and I want to change it from 3 decimal places to 2 decimal places. Once I do that, you'll notice on the screen that it changed all the decimal places for these dimensions to 2. Once I click outside of that menu option, I can double-click on the scroll button, the middle button on my mouse, and just zoom extents or zoom the entire sheet into my view. So this is the first multi-view drawing that I need to create for my project. So I'm going to show you how to do the other ones, but I will go a lot faster. I will not explain the detail that I explained for this multi-view drawing. I now want to create my second multi-view drawing. To create a new sheet, I simply go up to this little symbol right here, which is the insert sheet. And once you choose that option, another sheet will appear, a second sheet will appear, and this allows me to insert a new view. So once you start creating sheets, it's going to leave the previous sheet that you had open. It's going to leave it expanded. And so I like to minimize all that so I don't have to see all that stuff over and over again. But once you start working, it will expand. It will get bigger. It will take up a lot of space here. I personally like to see the entire list of sheets as I work. And so I always minimize those sheets over there. So I'm going to insert a new view. I'm going to go to Insert. I'm going to choose my blue piece, and I'm going to choose blue. Now I already know that this is not what I want. So my front view actually needs to be the back. And I'm going to place my front view as seen here on the screen. So I'm going to hit Escape because I want to change something. I don't like the rotation of this object, so I want to double click on it, but I can only do what I'm getting ready to do after I've placed it and gotten out of the Insert View command. And once I do that, I can double click on the front view, and then I can choose a rotation angle. So I'm going to try 90 degrees and see if that works. And that is the rotation that I want. So I'm going to keep it just like that. And I will choose, hit the green check mark to accept that. I'm now ready to project my other views. So I will go to Projected View and choose the front view, and then project my top, and then my right, and my isometric. Once I do that, I need to hit Escape to get out of the projected command, and I will right click over my isometric. I will show the shaded view. I need to also show, you need to get in a good habit of making sure you turn on the option to see the hidden lines in case they exist. So I'm going to right click over this view and choose the Show Hidden Lines option. Again, you may not have any hidden lines that appear in a view, but it is still good practice to turn the hidden line option on, because if you're like me, you're going to get to working very fast, and you're going to forget sometimes to turn on the hidden line option, and you're not going to be able to see that hidden line when one really does exist. So the only view that really has a hidden line is my top view. So I'm now ready to add my dimensions. So I'm going to go to Dimension. Again, I'm going to do this much quicker than I did in the previous multi-view drawing. There's my length. I'm going to do this object right here. I'm going to do a total height. For this object, I am going to add a dimension in the right view, and I'm going to choose this line and pull it out right there. You'll notice that's a little too close for comfort, so I'm going to pull this view over just a little bit to give it just a little bit more space. So I have my height dimensions that I need. I have my length dimensions that I need. I now need to add the depth dimension. I'm going to add those in the top view. I think that it's better suited to be there because of the shape of this. And so there is my multi-view drawing for my blue piece. I'm now going to create my third multi-view drawing. I'm going to go to Insert Sheet. I'm going to go to Insert View. I'm going to choose Insert, and then I'm going to choose Green. Now looking at my green piece, again, I know that that is not the direction, or that is not the front view that I want for this object as I see in that isometric. So I know I'm going to want to change it. So I'm going to choose Back as my front view. Now again, you may not choose back. Your front view may be perfect. So go with your front view if that is how, if that's what you think the best front view would be. But I think the best front view for some of my objects is actually the back view of it. And so now I'm ready to project my top, my right, and my isometric. I'm going to hit Escape. I'm going to right click over the isometric and show the show shaded view. I'm going to pan this down a little bit so that I can right click and show hidden lines. Right click on the front, show hidden lines. I'm going to pan down a little bit more and see if there's any hidden lines in the top view, and there are. So those are my views that I've just projected and created. I'm going to add my dimensions. And so as I'm creating these dimensions here, I realize that on the last sheet that I created, I did not change the decimal places to 2 decimal places. So I'm going to go back and do that in just a moment. So at any point that you remember you forgot to do something, you can easily go back and fix that. So I'm going to finish the dimensioning of this multi-view drawing, and then I will fix the decimal places for these dimensions. And change it to 2. I'm going to double click on sheet 2 and go back to it, and then I'm going to change the decimal places for the dimensions here. Change it to 2 decimal places. So now I'm back where I need to be. So going back to sheet 3, I've now completed my first 3 multi-view drawings. I'm now going to create my 4th multi-view drawing. So I'm going to just kind of unexpand, minimize the sheet 3 information. I'm going to choose Insert Sheet. I'm going to choose Insert View and choose Insert, and I'm going to go to my red piece. And looking at my red piece, just based on how I see this isometric, the front view is what I will want. So I will choose the red that I see here. I will not have to change the orientation of this. I think I'm going to like the front view of this projection here. And I'm going to create my other views. I'm going to escape on my keyboard, and then I'm going to right click and choose shaded view. I'm going to zoom out, pan down, and show hidden lines. Need to pan down just a little bit further so that I can see the one for the top view. So if you're not sure if you did one, like I can't remember if I actually did the front view, you can right click and it'll check. It'll say, if it says hide, that means you've already got that option turned on, so I'm good to go. So there are the views for my red piece. I need to add my dimensions. Add my overall length. Add my overall height to my front view. But I'm going to add the height of this piece, which is the height of this and the height of this right here. I'll add that in the right side view. And because I added a dimension in my right side view, I'm going to go ahead and add the depth dimensions in the right side view. And so I have the depth there. So I think that's a little bit too close for what I want. So I'm going to slide these views up just a little bit to give me a little bit more space in between these views. Maybe slide this one down just a little bit. So I need to change my decimal places. So I will choose my dimensions. And it lost some of those, so I'll reselect them and choose 2 decimal places. And now there's my multi-view for my red piece. I'm now ready to create my 5th and final multi-view drawing. So again, I'm going to minimize all this information about sheet 4. The sheet that is currently sheet 4. I'm going to insert a new sheet. I'm going to go to Insert View. I'm going to choose Insert, and then I'm going to choose Yellow. And I do not like how this object is positioned in this isometric, so I'm going to want my back view to be my front view, as was the case for some of my other objects. And so I'm going to choose back as my view orientation, and then place this front view here, and then I will project my top, and then project my right, and then project my isometric. Once I do that, I can hit escape, right click over my isometric, show shaded view. I'm going to zoom out a little bit and pan down, right click over the right side view and show hidden lines. Show hidden lines for the front view, show the hidden lines for the right side view. Now you may be wondering, why did I do a little bit more work with the blue piece than I did the others? Well, I just didn't like how it's positioned, and I could rotate the view, so that's why I rotated it. So you may not have to do all of the changing of the objects that I did, but I wanted to show you all that in case you did want to. and you see that it's obvious that the front view is not a good front view, so that you have an opportunity to change that and fix that now. So I want to add my dimensions for this multi-view drawing. I'll do my overall lengths first, then do my overall heights, and then the overall depths. Again, these are my 5 multi-view drawings, so I have all of these created. And so now the next step is to create our explosion drawing, and then the solution drawing, and then finish it out by creating the cover page and just reorganizing all the sheets that are listed here on the left. I now want to show you how to create your explosion drawing. Before we do that, there are a couple things I need to explain and some things that I need to show you how to set up. Let's look at what the explosion drawing should look like. So this is what your explosion drawing should generally look like. Obviously, you and I have different pieces, but my green piece includes the cube that is in the very center of my assembled puzzle cube, and the other pieces are pulled away from it. You'll notice that each piece has a call out or a label or a bubble with a number in it, and that connects up with the parts list or the bill of material table as seen here on the screen. So this is what we're going to create, and I'm going to show you how to do that. So I'm going to go back to OnShape. I told you that when you create a new sheet, the title block takes on some information from the various tabs or the various parts by which you pull into that sheet. So if we were to create a new sheet right now and pull in the explosion drawing, it's going to take on the name Assembly 1. So I want to go into Assembly 1, and I want to rename this and call this Explosion Drawing. I'm going to hit enter to accept that. Also, I just want to look up here in the top left and ensure that it was changed here as well. And it is. So we also have another thing to look at. So if you'll open up on the right side over here, if you remember, we chose this option to explode this assemble view. There's also one just above it called BOM, or Bill of Material Table. So once you choose that option, you're going to see what is currently set as your Bill of Material table. So this Bill of Material table has way more columns than what we need, and it is missing one piece of information, and I want to show you how to add that. So first of all, we want to delete the part number column and the description column. So I'm going to right click over part number column and just choose remove column. Then I'm going to right click over description and remove that column. And then I'm going to choose add column, and I'm going to choose name. So once I do that, the names that I have given each of these pieces will appear here, so that when we go back to the sheet and we create this explosion drawing sheet and we pull in the bill of material table, it will take on what we placed here in this view. So I'm going to go back to my sheets. I'm going to choose insert sheet, and I'm going to go to insert view. Very similar to what we did with the other objects, but this time we're going to choose insert, and now we're going to go into assemblies, and we're going to choose explosion drawing. Once we do that, I'm going to change the view orientation to isometric. The explode position, it is normally set to default, which is going to show an assembled cube. I want to choose that drop down option and choose explode 1. And so display state, we're going to leave alone. We're going to talk about that when we get into the last sheet, or the solution drawing. Now, for the other sheets, the multi-view drawings, the view scale was set to 1:1. We need to change that and add 1:1.5 and press enter, and you'll notice that it will now, the preview that we were seeing on the screen is now a little bit smaller and should fit within your title, your border here. So we're going to place this. And once we do, you'll notice that there is no shading on this view. So we'll need to right click on this view and choose Show Shaded View. And then once they are shaded, we'll first start by adding our callouts, or our labels, our bubbles. And so the way that you do it is very simple. So we're going to choose one of the edges of this piece. And so once you choose an edge, pull it out far enough where the arrowhead will be showing, but also so that the leader line is perpendicular to the edge that you chose. So I'm going to have to move this box out of the way so that I can see the black piece. I'm going to choose just about middle ways on this edge and pull out that line. And I'll just skip down here to yellow. So if you choose an edge that is sloped, for example, let's say you chose this edge of the blue piece, it needs to be parallel to this edge or perpendicular to the edge that I chose. So that is generally what it should look like for that one. So again, to see that again, if I were to choose this edge of the green piece, I could choose, make sure it's parallel to this edge right here or perpendicular to the one that I chose. And then I will hit the green check mark now that every piece has a call out. And notice that the numbers have not appeared yet. Those numbers are connected to the bill of material table that we're getting ready to insert. So let's insert our bill of material table, or what I call your parts list. And once you begin to do that, you'll see that the bill of material table is just a preview, and it will not fully be filled out until you place it on the screen. But one thing I want to draw your attention to, right now I'm seeing 3 columns. That leads me to believe that it is finding the correct bill of material table that I created just a few moments ago. If it looks like it's showing more than 3 columns, you can choose Insert and then choose Explosion Drawing, and then it should grab the right bill of material table. I've done this a couple times already, and there have been occasions where it grabs some other type of information, and the bill of material table that I end up inserting is not the one that I want, so I have to go through the steps of choosing Insert and choosing the Explosion Drawing, and then insert it, and then it's correct. And once you place it, you will see it on the screen. So if you hover over the parts list or the bill of material table, you will see there is a black dot in the top right hand corner. That is the dot that you can use to move this around. So if you insert it onto your sheet and it overlaps your title block, you can still move it just by clicking on that black dot and moving it up. You can also make these columns a little bit smaller if you wanted to. So we can make this one a little bit smaller. It's a little bit aggravating to do, but it is doable so that you can maybe fit it in a better place on your screen. Keep in mind, again, how I exploded my pieces may be different than how you exploded yours. If for whatever reason your explosion drawing is really, really close to the edge of your border, or even overlaps your border and you've done all you can and it just will not fit, you probably need to go back to your explosion and change some of the distances that these pieces were exploded or pulled away from your centerpiece. So that is how you create an explosion drawing. I now want to show you how to create your solution drawing. And before I insert a new sheet into this project or this drawing, I want to show you what the solution drawing should look like. So this is what your solution drawing will look like. So we have step 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. You'll notice that step 5 is an assembled cube for my puzzle. Step 1 includes the piece that is in the very center or goes to the very center of my cube. And then step 2 adds a piece. Step 3 adds a third piece. Step 4 adds a fourth piece. And of course, again, step 5 is the fully assembled puzzle cube. So to create that in Onshape, we got to do something a little extra to our assembly drawing. If you remember, we've called this explosion drawing, but this originally was called assembly 1. So I want to go into this explosion drawing. I want to right click on it, and I want to make a duplicate of this drawing. So let me see where I can find that. So let's go back to our sheets and let me try to right click like this, and there we go. So you cannot be in the tab that you want to duplicate, but once I'm in my sheets here, I can choose duplicate, and it's going to give me a second explosion drawing. You'll see that there is explosion drawing copy 1. I want to rename that and call it solution drawing. The reason why I do that is because once we create the sheet, we want the title to be correct. So let's go into solution drawing and make sure that it shows solution right here. It looks like it's ready to go. So how do we create these different steps? The way that we do that is we create what is called display states. So up here at the top of your screen, you will see a little piece of paper looking symbol with a little eyeball that has a line slashed through it. So if you'll choose display states, obviously this is our step 5. So over here where it says display states, I can give this one a name, and I can call this one step 5. And once I do that, I'm basically giving this display state a name. So I'm going to hit the plus sign and it's going to add that. So I want to turn off. So I'm going to turn off my blue piece. I want that one to be the last one that is added. So I'm going to call this display state, what it currently looks like right now, step 4. Again, it's sort of like taking a snapshot or a picture of my current view of my object or my assembly. So I'm going to now turn off my black piece, and then I'm going to call this one step 3. And I will hit the plus button right here, add this display state. Then I'm going to turn off my red piece, and then I'm going to call this one step 2. And I want to add that one. Then I'm going to turn off my yellow piece so that I am left with just my green piece, and this will be step 1. And I need to add that one. Now before I leave this one, this is just me. You don't have to do this, but I do like to see the step 5, the assembled view before I leave here, just so if I ever go back to this solution drawing again and I've forgotten that I did the display states, that it will be assembled and it won't confuse me. So I'm going to go into our drawing here for this project, and I'm now going to show you how to create this sheet. So we're going to insert sheet, and now we're going to go to insert view. We're going to choose insert, and we're going to choose assemblies. Now we're going to choose solution drawing, and I want this to be isometric. And then the explode view we're going to leave as default so that it shows the objects as they progress together, not exploded, but rather together. Display state, we're going to choose step 1. So that's what we're going to place first. The scale needs to be 1:1.5. I'm going to press enter just so it accepts that scale. There it goes. It finally accepted it. And then I'm just going to place it on the screen. So before I even shade it, I'm just going to go back in here and do the same thing again. I'm going to go to Insert, Assemblies, Solution Drawing. I'm going to choose Isometric. I'm going to choose Step 2. And then now it remembered my last view scale for this sheet. So I'm going to place this one right here, right about center of the page. Then I'm going to do the same thing again. Insert, Assemblies, Solution Drawing, and then I will choose Isometric. Display State, I want to choose Step 3, and then I will place it right about here. Then I'm going to do it again. Choose Isometric. Display state will be step 4, and then I'm going to place it about right here. Then I'm going to do this one more time for step 5. Insert, choose Assemblies, solution drawing, change view orientation to isometric, leave explode position to default, change the display state to step 5, leave my scale at 1:1.5, and then I'm going to place it right about here. So now once I have them all on the screen, I can see that I probably can move this one over just a touch and just kind of center this up so that the views on the bottom are in between the ones on the top. So now we're ready to show the shaded option for each of these views. So I'll just start with this one and right click, show shaded view, 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 and then I'm going to do the same thing for this step 5, show shaded view. The last thing we need to do for this drawing is add text, add a title to each of these. So we're going to choose text, and just somewhere below step 1, you're going to see this come up, and you'll notice that this allows you to expand it. So I would go ahead and expand that a little bit. We're going to change our font size to 0.25, and when you choose a drop down, you may not see another size there, but you can change this. So we're going to change this to 0.25, and then I'm going to come in back into here, and again, it didn't take the size of my font, so I had to hit enter to accept that. And now I'm simply going to type in step 1. So a couple things I'm going to do before I let go of this and accept this. I want to highlight it. I just typed that. I want to bolden it, and I also want to center it. So I want the horizontal alignment to be center. And so once I do that, you can also underline it, italicize it. So if there's more information you want to provide it below a view, you could do that. But I'm going to hit the check mark to accept that. I'm going to hit escape, and I'm going to slide this title over just so it's a little bit more centered below the view. So what I like to do, I like to take the easy way out. I want to right click over this title. I'm going to choose copy, and then I'm going to right click under the next one and choose paste. And I'm going to right click general in this general area and choose paste. I'm going to paste this enough times so that each view can have its own title. And obviously I will need to move these around so that they are in the right place. I obviously moved some of these, the original step 1 to another view, but that's okay. And then all I need to do is just double click on this one and change the 1 to a 2, and just click outside, and double click on this one and change the 1 to a 3, and double click on this one and change this to a 4, and click outside that, and double click on this and change this 1 to 5. So once you've done that, we have a completed solution drawing, and the only thing left for us to do is to create a cover page and then print this or create a PDF so that you can submit it. Now let's create the cover page. The way that we're going to create this cover page is we're simply going to go up here to Insert Sheet, and once we create this new sheet, it'll be sheet 8 for right now. We want to come over here to this sheet and just click on the title block and hit delete on your keyboard to remove that title block. Then we need to add some text in the very middle, or at least somewhere in this screen, and we can slide it around a little bit later. So I'm just going to place it somewhere in this general area. I'm obviously going to expand this because it's going to take up a whole lot of space here. And the size of my text needs to be 0.5. It's going to be much bigger. So I'm going to type in 0.5 in this box and hit enter. And then I'm just going to type in the following information. Project 4.1, enter, puzzle design challenge. Maybe hard for you to see as I'm typing, so I'll slide this out of the way. I'm going to hit enter, enter, and then type in introduction to. Got one too many N's there. I'm going to hit enter. and type in engineering design, IED in parentheses, enter twice, Aiken High School, enter twice, and then you're going to want to type your name. Please do not type my name. You'll want to type your name. But I'm going to type in my name just for the sake of typing my name so you can see what my full name is. So before I close out of this, I'm going to highlight all of this, and then I'm going to come over here to the horizontal alignment and choose center. And then I'm going to hit the check button, and then now my text is on there. I'm still in the text command, so I'm going to get out of that command so that I can choose this box right here. And I just want to center all of this text on this sheet. So you have little squares here that allows you to kind of snap to the left and right side of your border. It kind of helps you line everything up just maybe a little bit better, so it'd be closer. Everything looks good to me. Last thing to do is to change the order of all of our sheets and even rename some of these so that they help us make sense, so that we can refer to these sheets and go back to any particular sheet that we may need to. So first I want to change this one. I'm going to click on sheet 8. I'm going to hold down my left button on my mouse and I'm going to drag it so that it is first. So what we need to do first is rename this first one. So if you right click on it and choose rename, we're going to call this one cover, and we're going to hit the check mark. Then the very last sheet will become sheet 8. So if you try to right click on it while you're on, this is sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but I'm currently in cover and I'm trying to rename sheet 7 to call it sheet 8, but it won't let me do it. So I need to double click on sheet 7. Then I can right click on it and rename and type in sheet 8 and then hit the check mark. And then let's see if it'll let me change this one. Sometimes it will, sometimes it won't. And then I'm going to rename this one sheet 7. I'm going to rename this one sheet 6. This one will be sheet 5. This one will be sheet 4. This one will be sheet 3. And this sheet 1 will become sheet 2. And I think that'll help you. You could even type in the color. So if you want to type in what color is on what sheet so that you can easily identify which sheet is what, but I'm not going to do that, but you could, so that you could go back to any particular view that you want. So now we have reordered, we have created the cover page, we renamed all of these, and now we're just ready to print this and create a PDF, and that'll be it. Now that we have created all of our sheets, we're now ready to print this or create a PDF. So if you'll go up here to this option right here, some people call this the hamburger menu button, but it's actually the document menu. If you'll choose that, there's an option called print. And when you choose print, it doesn't actually print this to a printer. It's actually automatically going to create a PDF of all of your sheets. So when you do that, it's going to download it to the downloads on your computer. And once you do that, you will be able to submit that PDF into Schoology, and you will be done with the CAD portion of this project.